With all the talk about cloud, why would you want a private one? And how would you build one? Find out next on HP Tech Talk. Hi, this is Andy McCaskey from SDR News. Welcome to this episode of HP Tech Talk. This is the series where we take a look at how Hewlett-Packard is defining a new style of IT. And we talk about networking, we talk about the servers and storage, but today we're going to return to the world of cloud. And our guide, as always, Mr. Chris Purcell from Houston.
Hey, Andy. Thanks for the intro. Delighted to be back. You're going to talk about a little bit about the battleship Texas behind me. I sit when I sit down here in Houston, I'm sitting in my cube. We have this somewhat of a gray background, so I thought it'd be of interest just to spike it up as I did before and put a famous Texas landmark behind my shoulder. But it is good to be back. Certainly wanted to talk about cloud. What I thought might be interesting, just to kind of put the conversation in context though, talk about where we have been. So if you've been following this series, you know that we started with Christian Vestrada, and we did 2 sessions on what I would call HP Converged Cloud, providing a much better, hopefully an understanding of what the Converged Cloud strategy brings to business. And in those 2 sessions, Christian was really good about dispelling myths that people are perceiving with cloud, things where maybe reasons why they don't want to move forward with cloud, things that may be stopping them from moving to the cloud. So those part 1 and part 2, again, I'm hoping they were of interest. The last session I thought was pretty cool. At the last minute, we picked up Stephen Spector, who works in the public cloud services team, so the team within HP that provides a public cloud. And I thought it was a pretty interesting session with Stephen, really kind of talking through sort of the dynamics around both their portfolio and their usage model with cloud. But today, interestingly enough, we kind of wanted to take the reverse side. We talked about public cloud, now let's almost talk about public cloud, talk about private cloud, and where we see businesses moving to and the reasons why they are using a private cloud as opposed to a public cloud.
As always, you're able to find an expert within HP to talk with us about such things. Who's our guest today?
Someone that you know and bumped into many times before. I know you've had him on SDR News, various locations. I know we were doing firsthand down in Puerto Rico when we were down there early in the year, and then also recently in Discover. But Nigel Cook, who I don't think needs too much introduction, he's our CTO for Cloud System.
Nigel, first of all, welcome. And let's jump right into the topic. What are the business issues that most people are trying to address when they look into cloud computing?
So the issues that cloud addresses for business is fundamentally about improving business agility and flexibility. And when you talk about those aspects, there are actually multiple pieces that are addressed. So, why do we need this agility in IT to start with? And it's largely caused by an influx of new devices that IT needs to deliver to, mobile phones, tablets, BYO devices, as well as the traditional devices within the enterprise, now will have to be served by IT. So the demands on IT are increasing and becoming varied, and that needs, a flexibility from an IT perspective. Also, the demands that can come from a section of those devices can change dramatically. All you need is some prominent person to mention some aspect of your product or your company, in a tweet, and all of a sudden there's this massive traffic going to come to, your sales site, people, what is this? And so you're going to really have to get an agility in terms of being able to respond to demands that are caused as sort of as an offshoot from sort of social media and social media's sort of connectivity of business. So cloud is really about addressing that flexibility, and it enables you to address the flexibility both for environments that are sort of more traditional enterprise applications, as well as for sort of the new classes of applications which are really being built specifically around sort of cloud paradigms of resources on demand, and so forth, that are being written as well, particularly for these sort of mobile device environments.
I know that there are a number of steps that are required to build a private cloud, and I've attended seminars where they've attempted to explain that to me, and I need to have it explained to me once again. Can you run down those quickly?
Yeah, I can. And so, fundamentally how a cloud is different is that it starts with a self-service portal. So if you want something from a cloud, you can go to a portal and you can request it, and you can get what you've asked for, typically in, a minute or under a minute. So it's very fast, and it comes from this self-service portal as, your prime interface to go and request resources and actually view how your resources are going and make changes to them. So it's a very self-service environment. Now, what's being self-served to you is components which are organized into a catalog. And so the person who is providing the cloud and building the cloud needs to define what is it that the population that I'm going to serve is going to get from this self-service portal. And they'll define those elements, they'll put them in a catalog. And so just sort of like a shopping cart experience, a user is going to go to this catalog and say, here's the kind of resource I want. I want a large virtual machine. That could be a very simplistic resource. Or I want a new web server or blog site. That could be a little bit more sophisticated resource. It all starts with the self-service portal. This is what makes cloud different. If someone wants something from a cloud, they go to a portal, they click on the type of resource they want, and they get it immediately, often under a minute from their request when they've got that resource, they're ready for them to use.
So that sounds like an excellent way to build up a custom system. But Chris, I understand that there are actually templates. That may not be the proper name, but pre-configured systems.
It's almost like my analogy of a house. I build a house, the house that Nigel has just described, and now I want to fill the house with either furniture or things I can use to live in it. And we call those, building out my service catalog or building out the house, the framework of the house. Call those cloud maps. But before I get there, I just want to say one more thing. We talk about the technology, and these are tech talks, but the whole reason we're doing this is actually to enable business to drive with an advantage. And I think we talked about it before, and maybe it's just a good opportunity of saying it again. When we talk about cloud, we talk about building a private cloud. There's a business need behind it. And Nigel kind of talked about it from an IT perspective, but from a business perspective, it provides this flexibility for them to do things which they haven't done before. Nigel talked about this fleet and the speed and agility. It lends itself to the same thing from a business side too. It allows them to do things faster and do things differently to what they've done before.
So is this where the concept of cloud bursting comes in, of being able to flex the resources dynamically?
I think that bursting and the pool of resources is the other, the next aspect of cloud we want to talk about. So first, we talked about the portal, and this is where the business user can basically get their requests and get instant results. How you get those instant results is that you've got a pool of resource that you're drawing from to meet the demands from business. And that pool of resources can be something that you have in your data center in a house, or you can have, if you like, an overflow bucket that you draw from a public cloud. And so businesses can start to think about meeting the demand, and how much do I want to do in-house, how much do I want to get from something that I'm going to buy by the pound as I need it. And that's really what cloud bursting is all about.
And when you kind of think about that, Andy, from a business perspective, it allows IT to build to a certain threshold within a certain budget, knowing that they can expand or contract depending on the needs of their business, with this ability to burst out and either buy more resources and then shrink that back when the need has gone away. It becomes a very, very economic way of managing how they're managing their workloads in the cloud.
One of the terms that is quite important here as a concept is the notion of the hypervisor. Can you explain how that interacts with the scaling of the cloud?
I think hypervisors have, a couple of characteristics which makes them absolutely essential in the cloud environment. So, as Chris said, I mean, the first thing is with multiple hypervisors, you're able to virtualize the computer and put, 5 or 10 or 50 customers' workloads on a single host. So you get overall sort of better utilization of your infrastructure, which is, a great thing from a business return perspective. But as well, what the hypervisor does is create an environment that is sort of unchanged from an application perspective. They believe they're running in this virtual machine, and that's a constant. And what this allows this constant allows the cloud provider to do is actually move around where this virtual machine is executed. And they can do that movement, but the application that's running inside that virtual machine is totally unaware that movement is happening. So the cloud provider is able to do all sorts of optimization, all sorts of maintenance operations, all sorts of ongoing activities without disrupting the application at all. And that's an aspect that's provided by the virtual machine, which really makes it key for this type of environment.
So in the private cloud case, the ability to work with multiple hypervisors would be very important, because different data centers throughout the enterprise could be built on different platforms, have different resources then.
Yeah, different technologies, and sometimes the choice of hypervisors is driven by something as simple as a licensing cost for one hypervisor, so you can actually tune the technology that meets your business needs, and trade off some characteristics and license pricing across your environment. Sometimes it's just that an application works better on one hypervisor technology than another. So enterprises need to be able to mix and match to really get the best return from their cloud infrastructure.
Is that the primary distinguishing feature of HP Cloud System?
Well, it's one of the differentiating features, I should say. I think that Cloud System has, right from the start, supported multiple hypervisor environments, as well as actually physical service, which we can treat very similar to a hypervisor. It's very unique to Cloud System. So customers are able to actually mix and match workloads. Some may have to go on physical resources again because of application demands. Some may have an affinity to one hypervisor type versus another. Some of this may be to do with pools of resources that are constructed and the licensing that people have decided to use in that tool. All that combination is all supported by Cloud System.
Chris, are there other business implications of the deployment of Cloud System in an enterprise?
I think what Cloud System does more than anything else is it allows them to keep their existing infrastructure. We talked about this hybrid delivery thing in previous episodes, but what Cloud System does is it allows them to build a complete set of cloud infrastructure very, very quickly. Still allows them to continue on with their existing infrastructure in a more traditional data centers way. But I keep going back to the business reasons. So it's clearly an advantage to IT, but it allows the business to move faster. You kind of think about the scenarios where if I was in business and I wanted to run a program, it would in the past, it would enable me to have to go back to IT, fill out a form. They would have to provision the server. They would have to provision everything that Nigel was saying about getting that infrastructure ready for me to move into. And then I'm running my application and doing the work. Typically took about 6 months to do. So what cloud system will essentially building a private cloud, in this case with cloud systems, great, but it allows me to get to that where I can actually start running my business or running the application I want for my business extremely quickly. So when you think about cloud system or building a private cloud, it allows you this flexibility just to move a whole lot faster than you've been able to do in the past.
So Nigel, what is the MOE matrix with respect to HP Cloud Services?
The matrix MOE is the management software or the operations software that really is the brains behind the cloud. And so it's the software that provides that self-service interface that we described. It's also the software that takes the requests and decomposes them into the set of actions that have to happen across the data center to provide the requested resources or requested result for the business. So let's just say that you've asked for the business user asked for a particular blog site, let's say. They make that request through the self-service portal. That request has to be decomposed into, first of all, finding where I'm going to get the resources, where am I going to get the server resources, the storage resources, the network resources to deliver the right result. It's going to be about then allocating those resources and then configuring them so that end-to-end you get that complete service provided. So that's what MOE does. It also, I must say, apart from the self-service requests, also provides the dashboard and the panel through which the person who's running the cloud can administer that cloud environment. Look at what requests are happening in the system, look at how much capacity is left in the environment, be able to troubleshoot and repair the cloud, when things happen or when new resources arrive. So Matrix does that operations dashboard and operations lifecycle operations as well.
So how do I know when private cloud is most suitable for my business?
So I think this is one of these questions where the answer is yes. I think everyone needs a cloud. I think that the cloud is a sort of transformation about how people are building and providing their IT resources. And I think that we've come through a lot of stages of computing from mainframes to mini computers to desktops to distributed computing. And I think that all that's come together and formed into a new type of opportunity for cloud. And frankly, everybody, every business can benefit from use of cloud in their environment.
So Chris, what's the best way for an enterprise to begin their private cloud journey?
Great question. It pretty much sort of summarizes everything we've been talking about. And you said a journey, and I think that's, I can't stress, that's really what you're going to be moving from. So you move from traditional IT, move into the cloud, and it is going to be a journey, and it's a journey that you progress upon. I don't actually think there's certainly a start. I'm not sure there's actually an end. But I think one of the best places to start, especially if you've already got an existing data center, is to really do an evaluation of what you've already got and actually start to build out a blueprint, a plan that you can use, that you could maybe essentially start at a smaller scale and then allow you to build out to a much larger scale. Think about a cloud in the smaller aspect of your business, and then growing that private cloud out into more of the enterprise part of your business. Takes a lot of planning. It's not something that you would just decide to do one day. We have this cliche statement, maybe it's too cliche for a tech talk like this, but we talk about start small and then grow tall in the cloud. But it is something we've got, from an HP perspective, we've got a professional cloud services group. We talk about these converged cloud workshops. These are areas where you can engage with HP and you really can understand the enormity of the challenge, but then break the enormity down into the simplest steps that will allow you to be successful in the cloud.
Well, I think it's been a very interesting roadmap to the journey here. And Nigel, I want to thank you for joining us here today. Chris, what's coming up in our next Tech Talk in the world of cloud?
So we want to continue on this converged cloud journey that we've been on. Hopefully this session has been useful. And I really appreciate Nigel coming in and giving some insights on where we are with our private cloud and our cloud system offering. But I think as we go forward, we talk a lot we go back to the discussions that we'd had with Christian about some of the myths and some of the challenges that people have. So things like security, which I think are really kind of top of mind for a lot of the IT managers. I think that's going to be clearly an area that we'd want to spend some time and then take it from there.
Okay, well, I think it's going to be quite exciting. Look forward to having a chance to talk with you again. Next week, coming up on HP Tech Talks, we talk with the folks from networking, so make sure you don't miss that. I'm Andy McCaskey for SDR News. Thanks again for joining us here on HP Tech Talk.